Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Takeoff in Estimating and Architecture with Bluebeam. My name is Alyssa Chartier and I'm pleased to be your moderator today. A few housekeeping items before we get started. Make sure to check out the widgets below. You can resize any during the presentation. We have a survey, a resource center, speaker bio, and email. Just reach out to us if you have any questions at all. Be sure to visit ASTI.com to see how to achieve your design and business objectives through our innovative solutions, training opportunities, and services. I've also linked a virtual event in our resource widget down below, the AEC Game Changers. You won't want to miss it. Click the link in the resource widget and register. Our next one is, it looks like July 8th, so make sure to tune in and be sure to visit ASTI.com/webinars. I have a bunch of training on Bluebeam and it is all free. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Rick Kramer.
Thank you, Alyssa, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Rick Kramer, and today we're going to be going over some really cool features in Bluebeam, and I want to show you all how to use Bluebeam for creating better takeoffs using the area tool and dynamic fill. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into it. So over here, what we have is a sample exercise. This is actually one of the sample files within Revit to basically show off how you can start to use any file whatsoever on creating estimates. In this example, what we want to do is create a better estimate on the flooring area for this drawing. So let's say we received this drawing. Maybe I'm an interior designer and I've received this drawing and I want to do a quantity takeoff for the carpet. And I have different carpets. I'm going to show you how we can use Bluebeam here to get a better estimate of these calculations. The very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through and set up the PDF and properly calibrate it. To do this, what we need to do is go over here within Bluebeam and select over here on the change the scale, page scale. When we do that, we'll have the opportunity to change the scale or calibrate this PDF. Now, it's really important to calibrate the PDFs because this is where it's going to be crucial for having this be to scale when we're doing our area calculations. You can imagine if you don't scale the drawing, all your calculations will be off. So what we need to do is calibrate it, and that's what we're going to do right here. I'm going to select Calibrate and then select two known points to calibrate this PDF. I'll go ahead and click OK. And at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move into the drawing and look for something that has a dimension. In this case, I'm going to use this 24-foot dimension here. I know it's a known dimension, and I'm going to use that to calibrate. I'm going to go ahead and select the first point over here, and then holding Shift on my cursor, this will give me the opportunity to take that line and make it completely orthographic or horizontal, and I'll click that second point. Next, I'm going to put an input right here on what that distance is. That known distance is just 24 feet, 0 inches. Then the precision, I'm going to make that as precise as possible and click Apply Scale. Next, I always like going through and making sure that this is actually dimensioned correctly. So I'm going to go over here to my Tools, Measure, Length, and just run a quick dimension. And there it is, 24 feet. Awesome. So this is going to work for us. I'm going to go ahead and just delete that. Next, we're going to go through and use the Area tool to do takeoffs, and I'm going to show you how we're going to use dynamic fill for this. To start off, what we need to do is create an area. So I'm going to go over here and go to my tools. I'm going to go to Measure, and then Area. And I'm simply going to draw a box. Now, what I'm going to do is start to begin to create and customize this for carpet 1 and then another one for carpet 2, etc. And I'm just going to show you how I'm going to easily set this up right from the beginning on creating this custom carpet. So first thing I'm going to do is select it after I've created it and go to its properties. Opening up its properties, I want to make sure to change some of the information here so it's relevant for each different type of floor typing. So over here under Subject, what we need to do here is type in flooring. The idea is that we're going to organize all of the flooring under one subject. Then under here, under Label, this is where I'm going to start to add, for example, CPT1. And you can see it automatically fills in that information right here. Next, I'm going to change the appearance of this, and I like to have it filled in. So I'm going to go ahead and select the fill in color, and I'm going to come over here and make it even lighter. Now, if I leave it as is, I want you to notice if I move this over, it's going to cover up my drawing. One of the nice things about this is if I select highlight, it'll enable me to actually highlight the objects underneath, and I can see through it, and it's somewhat transparent. This is excellent. So now I'm pretty much set. This is set to flooring and carpet 1. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to repeat this a couple more times. So I'm simply going to copy it and paste. And this one over here, I'm going to highlight that one, and this one's going to be CPT2. And I'll change its color, let's say, to this green. And again, I like using these lighter colors, so I'm going to slide this over. And so that's CPT2. Easy breezy. Select this one and do Control-C and then Control-V, and now I have a third one. As you can see, once we create one, it's very easy to create additional ones. So that's CP2. I'm going to highlight that and make that CPT3 and change the color to this blue. Awesome. All right, so now we have CPT1, CPT2, and CPT3. If we go over here in our markups list, you'll see that I have CPT 1, 2, and 3 and square footages. Now here is the interesting thing on how to create basically dynamic fills for these takeoffs. To start doing these, what I need to do is I need to go through and create these as part of my tool chest. So I'm going to go over here and open up my tool chest. You'll see that I have some tool chests over here that I was working on before. I'm just going to go ahead and clear that so we can see how this is done. And I'll delete the ones that I was working on earlier so you can see how this is done right from the get-go. Nothing like live, right? So I'll go over here and delete that as well. All right, so the idea here is we want to go through and create these patterns or these swatches of colors and create that as a new tool set. What I'm going to do is simply place them over here under My Tools, or I could create a new one somewhere under here. What I'm simply going to do is to select them. I'm simply going to click on one of them, right-click, Add to Tool Chest, and I'm going to add them to My Tools, and you'll see it show up right here. Then I'll select this one, Add to Tool Chest, My Tools, and the last one over here, Add to Tool Chest. And you'll see that we have these over here in our tool chest. Now you'll notice that the icons are a little bit unique. They're different in comparison to the other ones, and these are because these are in properties mode. To change that over to drawing mode, simply double click, and double click. And now we can start to use them. What I'm going to do is start to begin to go through and tag these areas. So I'm going to go over here and basically start with, for example, this dry storage. I'll select the first one over here and I'll click on that and basically begin to calculate my square footage. And I'll just move that over here. I'll do another one for electrical. And you can see it's very, very easy to go through and basically, go through and tag these areas. Now you might be wondering, well, isn't there an easier way instead of having to go through and basically drag or do a point to point like over here? If this was carpet 2, I'd have to go from here. Let's try that again. From here, that's third time's a charm. I'll go from here to here to here and to here. And you might be wondering, boy, I wish there was an easier way. And hit return, and there it is, CPT2. Let's say I want to go through and create this again in a different way, a smarter way, and this is using something called dynamic fill. In dynamic fill, we have the ability to basically use the dynamic fill option within Bluebeam. To bring that up, all I have to do is hit the hotkey J. When I bring up that hotkey, the dialog box that we're seeing over here gives us the ability to use this dynamic fill option. First things first, what we're going to do is see how this works. We're going to go into dynamic fill settings. You'll notice that there's the following things: boundary size, fill size, and fill speed. I'm going to bring the boundary size down all the way and fill size all the way down as well, and you'll see why in just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and basically begin by defining the areas that I want to fill. If we just use the straight fill option over here and I start to begin to fill this area, you'll notice it comes in and starts to paint this area, but you'll notice it kind of overspills out into this area. Let's go ahead and clear all those areas. And what I'm going to do is start by defining a boundary so that I can keep that dynamic fill in this area right here. So by using boundary, let's just make sure everything's still set. And I'm going to do a boundary. Over here, what I'm going to do is basically go through and draw a boundary from here to here, hit return, and that adds a boundary edge. So when I start to use the dynamic fill over here, it basically stops in this area. Watch what happens now when I click in this area. It basically goes through and stops in this area. Now I can continue drawing in the rest of this area right here. And you can see this is really, really easy to fill in. Now what I need to do is select how I want to apply this dynamic fill. Over here I'm going to select area, and I'll select the type of flooring. In this case it's going to be CPT3. I'll select CPT3, click Apply, and Close. And just like that, we've now added the square footage. So that's the first step. Let's go through over here, and I'm going to clear this out over here. And now what we need to do is basically start to come up with a way to calculate this. So you'll notice over here I have my square footages, and typically you would go through the rest of your PDF doing your your areas. And now I'm going to show you how we can easily calculate these square footages. So now what we're going to do is create a custom column to calculate the totals. This is exciting stuff. Over here under the markups list, what I'm going to do is go to columns and then go to manage columns. I'm going to go to custom columns, and here's where I'm going to create my custom columns to calculate the totals. I'm going to create a couple new columns. I'm going to go over here and click on Add. And this one here is going to be, let's say, material choice. And over here, I'm going to tell it to be a choice, which gives me an opportunity to have different things that I can select from. I'll select Add. And over here, I'm going to go ahead and add, in this case, the item, which is going to be CPT1. And the subject is going to be flooring. For this to work, I need to assign a numeric value, and I'm going to go ahead and say that CPT1 is worth $1.25 a square foot and hit OK. I'll do a couple more. I'll do CPT2. Oops, let me do it in caps as well, CPT2. And the subject, again, is going to be flooring. I'll assign a numeric value, and this one's cheap. This one's only 85 cents a square foot. And now if I just start with just those two as a simple starting point, I'm going to go over here. You know what? Actually, let's create another one, and this one's going to be CPT3, and the subject, again, is going to be flooring. Assign a numeric value. This one's really expensive. It's $3.25 a square foot. And I'll hit OK. Now I need to go through and create a formula. This will give us the opportunity to take those material choices and apply a square footage cost and basically come up with a total. So I'm going to go over here and click on Add, and I'm going to say my cost. And this is going to be a formula. And the expression over here is basically going to be something times something. In this case, what we want to do is the measurement times the cost. So in this case, I'm going to do measurement, and I start typing in M, and it'll bring up the list of predefined choices, space, times, and I'm going to type in something, and it'll open up my variables, and I'm going to do material choice by double-clicking on it. So this will tell us the formula is going to be my measurement, the square footage, times material choice, which has a numeric value associated with it. The format over here, we want to make sure to change it to currency and include in totals. It's very important to make sure to include that in your totals. I'll go ahead and hit OK, and now we'll see them over here. So here's my material choice and my cost included in my markups list. To simply go through and start to include the costs, all I have to do is select, for example, the carpet 1 over here, click inside material choice, double click, and assign it to CPT1. And there it gives me my total. How cool is that? Over here, CPT1 again, select that, CPT2, and over here, this one's going to be CPT3. You'll notice, by the way, while I'm clicking on this over here, it's actually highlighting on my screen those areas. And it's giving me a running total. How cool is that? Now over here, you're going to say, but this is all within Bluebeam. How can I take this and deliver this out to someone else? There's different ways that you can export this calculated information. And the two different ways is one over here as a CSV summary. That's Excel, or a PDF. I'm going to show you both. Over here, if I do CSV, I'm going to go ahead and select CSV and just go ahead and hit OK. And you'll notice it opens up my Excel. Wasn't that fast? Over here, I can basically start to utilize Excel in all of its power to basically start to take those calculations from Bluebeam into Excel and really have fun with it. Let me say don't save. The next way is creating a PDF summary. Maybe I want to send this to someone. So what I can do is come over here under Summaries and select PDF Summary. Now, one of the things that I really like to do is over here is make sure to sort it the way that I want to. In this case, I'm going to sort it by the not the subject, but in this case, the label, because this is where I've defined the different materials. So over here, I'm going to change that to label. And I'm going to leave pretty much everything else as is. Hit OK, and it's creating that PDF. And let's take a look at what we have. There we go. So over here we have our PDF summary, and take a look. It actually even has a little snapshot of those different areas, as well as the square footage and the total cost for all of my carpet 1 type, carpet 2. There's only one of those currently, and carpet 3. It also included my my areas over here, my general notes. I needed to take those off. So anyway, that's really how easy it is to basically go through and start to take your drawing information as a PDF and create custom information, custom tools using the area tool and dynamic fill. Well, I hope you enjoyed my quick little session on Bluebeam, and back to you, Alyssa. All right. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Rick, and thank you to everyone for joining us today. If you have any questions, put them below. We'll stay on for a few minutes after and type answers to whatever you need. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you spending your time with us and trust it was meaningful and impactful for you and your business. I look forward to seeing you on another bite-sized webinar. Thanks, everyone.